The Atma Bodha of Shankara-Acharya. 1. For those whose evil has been worn away by fervor, who have gained peace, whose desires are gone, who long to be free, is set forth this self-wisdom. 2. For the wisdom of self is the one way to freedom, leading beyond all other paths. As cooking cannot be accomplished without fire, so freedom cannot be attained without wisdom. 3. As they are not opposites, works cannot make unwisdom cease. Wisdom verily destroys unwisdom, as radiance the host of darkness. 4. For broken up, as it were, by unwisdom, the self shines forth single of itself when unwisdom is destroyed, like the rayed sun when the clouds pass away. 5. When the life, turbid through unwisdom, is made clear by the presence of wisdom, even the effort of wisdom passes away, as when water is cleared by the katak seed. 6. For the circling world is like a dream, crowded with desires and hates. In its own time, it shines as real, but on awakening to the self, it becomes unreal. 7. The world shines as real, like the silver of a pearl shell, until the eternal is known, the secondless foundation of all. 8. In the self that is being and consciousness pervading all, like the string in a chain of pearls, all manifold individuals are contained, as all bracelets in the mass of gold. 9. Like shining ether, the Lord of Sense, the Master, entering into many disguises, appears divided in their division, but stands single when they fall away. 10. Through the power of varying disguises, race, name, and rank are accredited to the self as difference of taste and color to water. 11. Born of the 5 nature stuffs, commingled through works heaped up in the past, is this body that they call the dwelling, where are tasted pleasure and pain. 12. Formed of the 5 life breaths, with the emotion and soul, and the twice 5 powers that perceive and act, is the subtle form, the cause of the tasting of pleasure and pain. 13. The casual disguise comes into being through the beginningless, ineffable error of separateness. Let him apprehend the self as other than these disguises. 14. By union with these veils and vestures, the pure self appears to share their nature, as a crystal seems blue beside a vesture of blue. 15. Let him diligently discern the pure inner self from these veils and vestures that cling to it, as rice from the chaff and straw by winnowing. 16. Though the self is all present forever, yet it shines not everywhere forth. Let it shine in the soul as reflected in a pure mirror. 17. Distinct from the body, powers, emotion, soul, which are of Maya, let him find the self, who, king-like, beholds all doings of these. 18. Through the busy activity of the powers, the self seems busily active to the undiscerning, as the moon seems to course through the coursing clouds. 19. Dependence of the self that is pure consciousness, the body and powers and emotion and soul, each in its own duties, move as men move in the sunshine. 20. They attribute the potencies of body and powers and their works to the self, to pure being and consciousness through undiscernment, as blue to the pure sky. 21. Through unwisdom, the doings of its disguise, emotion, are referred to the self, as the motion of the wave to the moon reflected in the water. 22. The opposites and the 5 life breaths move in the soul when it is manifested, but in dreamlessness there is none of them when the soul sinks to rest. Therefore, they are of the soul, not of the self. 23. As shining is of the sun, as coldness is of water, heat of fire, so the own nature of the self is being, consciousness, bliss, perpetual stainlessness. 24. That part of the self which is being and consciousness, and the activity of the soul, together make a pair. When they are united by unwisdom, the idea arises that I perceive outward things. 25. There is no change in the self, nor in the soul by itself is there any light, but the personal life perceiving all too outwardly, deluded, thinks it is I who am doer and knower. 26. Thinking the personal life is the self, as one thinks a rope is a serpent, he suffers fear. But when the understanding arises that I am not the personal life, but the self, then fearlessness comes. 27. The self alone illumines the soul and the other powers. Like a lamp in an earthen vase, the self is not illumined by these inert powers. 28. In one's own awakening, there is no need of another's awakening. The self is an awakening of itself, as a light has no need of another light. The self shines of itself 29. Putting away all disguises, according to the saying, "It is not this, it is not this." Let him see the oneness of the personal self in life and the Supreme Self, according to the mighty precept. 30. The body and all visible things belonging to unwisdom are fugitive as bubbles. Let him find the stainless reality other than these, declaring that I am the Eternal. 31. As I am other than the body, not mine are birth, fading, misery, destruction, nor attachment to sensual things, since the sense powers are other than I. 32. As I am other than emotion, not mine are sorrow and desire, hate and fear. According to the teaching of the precept, pure is the self, above vital breath, above emotion. 33. Without quality or action, everlasting, without doubt or stain, changeless, formless, ever free am I, the spotless self. 34. I, like the ether, though inside all things and without them, am yet unchanged, ever equal altogether, pure, unattached, unstained, unmoved. 35. Everlasting, pure, free, one, partless bliss, and secondless, real wisdom, the endless, the supreme eternal. That, verily, am I. 36. Thus the incessantly held remembrance that I am the Eternal takes away all the bewilderment of unwisdom, as the healing essence stills all pain. 37. In the solitary place, at rest, passionless, with senses well controlled, let a man bring into his being the One Self, thinking of nothing but that endless One. 38. Plunging all visible things in the Self by thought, the true thinker shall bring into his being the One Self, ever stainless as ether. 39. Putting off all names and coloring stains, and knowing the supreme end, the Self stands forth in its own nature as fullest consciousness and bliss. 40. The division into knower, knowing, and known exists not in the Self, in the union of consciousness and bliss. It is self-illumined. 41. Thus ever setting the fire stick of thought in the socket of the Self, let illuminated understanding, as a flame, burn up all the fuel of unwisdom. 42. As by the red dawn, by wisdom, the former darkness is driven away, then becomes manifest the Self, self-shining like the rayed sun. 43. But the Self though all the time possessed is as though not possessed through unwisdom. When unwisdom passes away, it shines forth like a jewel on one's own throat in full possession. 44. As a man imagined in a post, the idea of the personal life is imagined in the eternal. But when the reality is perceived, the personal idea passes away. 45. By experiencing one's own nature as it really is, wisdom straightway arises and destroys the unwisdom of I and my like a mere mistake in direction. 46. The seeker after unity, knowing all things one, with the eye of wisdom, beholds all things standing in his own self, the self as one and all. 47. The self is all this world. Other than the self, nothing is, as all earthen vessels are of earth. He sees all as his own self. 48. Let him who is free in life, knowing this, rid himself of the potency of his former disguises. Let him become being, consciousness, bliss, as the chrysalis becomes a butterfly. 49. Crossing the ocean of Maya, slaying raging desire and hate, the seeker for unity, perfected in peace, grows radiant, rejoicing in the self. 50. Giving up clinging to outward, unlasting joys, turning to joy in the self, he shines within, bright as a light within a vase. 51. Even while wearing the disguises, the sage is not tainted by their nature. Like the ether, though knowing all, let him seem as nothing knowing. Let him move unfettered like the air. 52. When the disguises fall away, let him enter altogether into the all-pervading, like water in water, air in air, flame in flame. 53. The gain, than which there is no higher gain. The joy, than which there is no higher joy. The wisdom, than which there is no higher wisdom. Let him learn that this is the eternal. 54. When that is seen, there is no more to see. When he has become that, there is no more to become. When that is known, there is no more to know. Let him learn that that is the eternal. 55. Upward, downward, on all sides perfect, being, consciousness, bliss, the stainless one, the secondless and endless. Let him learn that that is the eternal. 56. By putting off all but that, the fervent searcher is taught the partless bliss by the sacred precepts. Let him learn that that is the eternal. 57. By sharing even a little of the bliss of that partless, blissful one, the gods are blissful all, according to their measure. 58. Every being that is bound to that, every movement follows that. Therefore, the eternal is in all, as butter is in all milk. 59. Nor small, nor great, nor short, nor long, unborn, unfading, with neither form nor quality, color nor name, let him learn that that is the eternal. 60. By whose shining the sun and all lights shine, but who shines not by the shining of any, by whom all this shines, let him learn that that is the eternal. 61. Itself penetrating the whole world, inwards and outwards, and making it to shine, the eternal shines forth, like the glowing of a heated iron ball. 62. The world is other than the eternal, yet beyond the eternal, nothing is at all. What is other than the eternal shines indeed unsubstantial, like the phantom lake in a desert place. 63. What is heard and seen is not other than the eternal. By understanding the real, the eternal is known, being consciousness, bliss, the secondless, stainless reality. 64. The eye of wisdom beholds everywhere the self that is consciousness and being. The eye of unwisdom may not behold it, as the blind see not the shining sun. 65. Thoroughly tried by the fire of wisdom, kindled by right hearing and thinking, the personal life, free from every stain, gleams bright as gold. 66. The self, rising in the firmament of the heart, the sun of awakening, dispersing the darkness, all penetrating, all sustaining, of itself shines forth and illumines all. 67. He who, regarding neither place nor time, enters on the pilgrimage of the self, the all-present, the healer of all pain, the everlasting joy, the stainless, he ceasing from all other allegiance, all-knowing, all-possessing, becomes immortal. Thus, the self-wisdom is completely attained. The end.